Hi, thank you for joining us. This is the Alchemy of Alignment podcast. I'm Suzy Sanders, your host, and I've got a very special guest with me today. But before I introduce you to Laura, I just want to say thank you for being here because we've had some wonderful feedback. We continue to have some wonderful feedback on the work we're doing through our podcast. And I'm grateful to you for taking the time, whether this is a second or third or fourth episode that you're listening to, or you're joining us for the first time today. Thank you, because your energy is precious. So I've got Laura Barley with me today, and Laura Barley is a remarkable woman in more than one ways. I really value her. I think it's a calmness and a reassurance that I get from Laura. I always cherish spending time with her and chatting with her. And Laura is part of the Alchemy Virtual Assistants family, but I'm going to introduce her and I'm going to ask Laura to tell you more about what she does, because she will do it better justice than I do. So Laura, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Well, we chat all the time, don't we? But this is on record conversation. So it's really lovely to be able to do this with you, because you're a few years into your business journey, aren't you, with Alchemy? But tell us more about how your days are spent, what you do.
Well, firstly, it's nice to be doing an official podcast, since we do podcasts for each other all the time. Voice notes. So my time is spent between my lovely clients. So many things that we do for them. It's lovely. So we do a bit of diary management, a bit of email management, some bookkeeping now. We do some marketing, some social media management, some general, organization of life, researching holidays and trips, and finding gifts, and there's just so many things, and it's one of the things that keeps it really fresh is the variety that we have, so it's really good.
Oh, good. And for those of you that don't know, Laura's based just on the outskirts of Glasgow, aren't you? And amongst all the busyness of your business and your clients, you've grown successfully a pretty solid team, and you've obviously got a young boy as well as mother and business, which is a lot, right?
But life would be boring without it, so yeah.
Absolutely. See, there we go. That reassuring calmness. Just Laura Barley takes everything in her stride. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with me. As you say, we very often leave long podcasts in the form of voice notes that we often joke about. And actually, you were quite instrumental in me pulling my finger out and getting this podcast done, because I know we talked about it a few years. Was it a few years ago?
It was a few years ago, yeah.
And here we are. So it feels like quite a nice moment, and thank you for continuing to inspire me to keep moving. So shall we dive in?
Go on then, dive in.
Because we're all about purpose. We're all about purpose. And I would love to start our conversation today. And as I often invite our audience to you, if you're listening, watching, please do take these as reflective questions for you as well. So how aligned to your purpose do you feel today?
So aligned. Just, completely. I guess, purpose can be kind of twofold, threefold, fourfold, my main overarching overall purpose would be my family, predominantly my son. Obviously I'm bringing him up on my own, so it's huge responsibility, huge undertaking, and one that I absolutely cherish and adore, and everything I do is kind of around that now, and that was my inspiration for starting the business. And, obviously our values, family, flexibility, they're huge to me. And my business purpose would be, obviously doing a great job for my clients, which I absolutely want to do on a daily basis. That means the world to me, if we're adding value to their business. But yeah, I suppose that comes back to doing it flexibly around my family. So yeah, it just hugely aligned for my overall purpose.
Oh, amazing. I love that you've brought values into this conversation so early on as well, because it's so important. And there's some common threads that I've been picking up from the conversations that I've had with people for this podcast. And doing a good job is, I think, is mentioned pretty much in every episode that we've done, because that's really important to people. And I know it is to you as well. And I've got the benefit of actually seeing and experiencing some of the impact that you have through your clients, through the testimonials that they leave for you. And, it's a bit of a running joke at Alchemy that I'm a bit emotional. And I think I've shed a few tears, just a little. And I'm not afraid of emotion, but I have shed a few tears reading a couple of your client testimonials about the impact that you make to the people that you serve, as well as the businesses that they run. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that family thing is obviously pivotal to me and so many others as well. And the flexibility, and I know that's a driver for a lot of people to start their businesses.
Yeah.
And do you see that purpose in your client base?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, they shouldn't have to be independent of each other. You should be able to have a career and, run your own business with your purpose in mind, and, being true to your purpose and aligning with it. So, and yeah, I'm so fortunate, that I have the best clients. I'm sure all the hub managers have said that, but I definitely do. And they're all just great and just absolutely get it. And, I think that's why, we work well together, because we do totally align on that. And, we've got the same kind of values. And, it is important when you work with people, as and as, fully part of the Alchemy training.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? And I remember having this conversation with someone recently about that alignment of values and purpose, and just being with like-minded people, how important that is. And you say you're lucky. You say you're lucky, but I'm going to compassionately challenge that, because I know how you show up for yourself, for your son, for your clients. Like, you're the kind of person that just, you say you're going to do something and you do it. And that may seem like quite a simple statement to make, but it's rare. It's rare, I feel. And I think that's part of your success, the fact that you are like, we'll figure it out, we'll deliver, we'll do it. You've got that kind of, is it completer finisher in you? I
Yeah,
don't know.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that is just my philosophy. It's just, we'll find a way, we'll get it done. We're here to help you, so that's what we'll do.
It's
It's
simple.
yeah, but it benefits us as well, because we're learning from it, and we're gaining new skills and ultimately helping the client. So, but yeah, that's what I want to do. That's my main thing, is to do a good job for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we're here.
Amazing. And if we to kind of go back to what you did, because you've had so many differing roles in your career as well, and do you lean on the things that you learn in the past
For
to
sure.
serve you now? What are the kind of things that have been most valuable, do you think?
Yeah, I feel really old when I think about all the jobs that I've done. I think being in the police, one of the major things was just dealing with people. And I lean on that a lot. And it's just about, being honest and, figuring out what people are looking for. And I mean, all the skills that I have developed throughout my career, yeah, I certainly, lean on them about, being organized and, structure your work and, prioritizing, down to using Word and Excel and PowerPoint. Um, I'm too old to have done that at school, so I had to learn that through working. So yeah, there's just so much of it, and just I think having done a few jobs, let's say, working with different groups of people, I think that's invaluable as well, because you work with so many different personalities, and um, working with people, you get to know maybe how you would want to be managed or how you wouldn't want to be managed. And I think these things are all really important, and things that I try to remember, with my team.
Yeah. I would say experienced and wise over old, just for the record. But you're so right, because I think this, it's one of my kind of mantras, if you like. If you don't understand people, you can't understand business, because we're all people. You're dealing with people, and it's I mean, I'm very relationship based, as is Alchemy, as are you. But it always boils down to those relationships, would you say?
Definitely, definitely. And I think that's why I get on well with all my clients, because we all have great relationships, and they know that they can call on me at any time. And, if I can be there, I certainly will. And, as I said, I'm honest with them. If it's something, a deadline that we need to push back for some reason, I'm honest with them and talk about it. Thankfully, it doesn't happen too much, but yeah, I just think it's that's a key thing for me, is honesty in your relationship with your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the things that you find really help build those relationships? Or is it something that comes really natural to you?
I think it does come quite natural. And again, I think that's to do with, what did you call it? Experience and wise.
Experience and wisdom, Laura Barley.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So that's what comes from being old. And having, experience with a lot of people, and I'm confident in my abilities and my team's abilities. So it's not about selling for me. I don't do selling. I don't like it. But I'm confident in what I can do. And I am therefore, quite confident to them that we can do a good job. And thus far we have. So yeah. Does that help with a relationship though? I don't know.
I,
I
I
don't.
yeah, well, I'd say it does, because that confidence, you have that experience and that wisdom, but you have that confidence and belief in what your business does and who you are and who you work well with. And as you say, I mean, I hate selling as well. And I think that confidence is a big part of it for me.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got that grounded level of understanding the value you bring, seeing the value you bring, and then it can be a little bit turbulent. And I think, I mean, I'm very perceptive, but I think people pick up on that, don't they? And
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you're going to build stronger relationships with people that are aligned to you naturally.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
interesting. So the relationships play a part in your purpose then?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, talking about my family being my overall purpose, there's a huge amount of relationships going there. you know, from his relationships, you know, with his friends, and, you know, my relationships with my Prosecco gang, of his friends' mums, and my, yeah, you know, my parents, and, you know, the huge amount of relationships there. And, you know, as we've spoken about, the relationships in work with the clients is brilliant. With my team, I think we all get on really good. I have different relationships with all of them, which is nice. And hopefully it's what they need, and you know, what suits them. So yeah, it's all, I guess they're all different because everybody's different, aren't they? So but yeah, they certainly assist to fulfill me in all different ways. And I hope I play a part in the reverse for them.
Yeah, that like giving and receiving, and it's all a beautiful harmony as well, isn't it? Because I mean, people are sometimes surprised, but I'm a huge introvert, and I get peopled out quite a lot. I
I know
charge out
this.
being on my own in a quiet, dark room, which with businesses and babies isn't always possible. But when I was hearing you talking about those different relationships, do you get quite fatigued sometimes trying to manage all of that breadth of relationship? I mean, just school relationships alone is, I find, quite exhausting, but really necessary. So how does that play out for you?
Yeah, no, I don't get fatigued with it at all. I have the opposite problem in that I can't switch off.
Ah,
So I'm constantly, you know, on the go and doing things, and you know, making sure that my son has, you know, things to do and people to occupy him so that I can do some work, and, you know, then I don't get the mum guilt, because there's always the mum guilt. Um, so no, it doesn't fatigue me at all. I yeah, I could just do it all the time.
so there we go. So I know who to call on when I need some relationships managing and I'm too peopled out to do it. But it,
Yeah,
again,
it's
we're
fine.
all our own unique, beautiful
Mm,
people, aren't we? And
mm,
knowing, I think that self-awareness in business is critical, um,
definitely.
and plays a big part in relationships as well. So I know the answer to this question, but you do network a lot, don't you? And is
I
that
do.
is that the same? Do you get that kind of energy from that as well?
No, networking is different.
Okay.
It's not like a natural situation.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So the people that you're with aren't necessarily aligned to you.
Mhm.
And if anybody is listening to this who I network with, I'm not speaking about anyone specific, or I'm just saying a general situation that networking is the probably the one kind of social situation that would make me feel a bit anxious.
Mm. Okay.
Um, and I think that's the reason. I think it's because it's not natural. So, you know, it's just people there for a specific purpose. And there's nobody that I network with who makes me feel anxious, or, you know, I've had no situations, nothing like that. But yeah, I would always feel a bit before I go to something. Probably once I'm there, I feel a bit better. But yeah, there's always just that thing in the back of my mind.
Oh, that's really interesting. You're absolutely bang on though, because it is any type of networking is it is, your words are beautiful there. It's a natural, because you're all kind of it's coordinated, isn't it? It's orchestrated. So I totally get that. And I have, I told you the story about the first time I went networking.
You have.
I embarrassed myself beyond belief, because I still get that. I get a bit like
Yeah.
anxious because there's so many
Yeah, yeah.
expectations,
Mhm.
um and again, for someone who's quite introverted, it's a lot of a lot of people, a lot of energy, a lot of
yeah.
brain space that's needed. But yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, I pretty much had to run to the toilet because I nearly threw up because I was so scared about
Bless you.
sitting up and just doing a pitch. And now here I am on my podcast, can't stop me talking.
But I think that shows your care as well. You know, you care about what you say and how it comes across, and you know your delivery. So, you know, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I take it the same way as well. I think, you know, and those anxious feelings are feelings. They're valid and welcome, and they serve a purpose. And I still to this day do get a little bit of that adrenaline surge after I do a pitch. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, totally no.
Isn't that interesting? And so what have we covered so far? We've talked about your pretty strong alignment to your purpose right now.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
through what you're doing with your business, and we've dived into relationships and some of the values that are important to you and your clients. And so how do you keep in touch with that purpose with a busy life and lots of relationships, lots of demands of you? How do you make sure you keep on track with your purpose and your fulfillment?
Well, I mean, he's got two legs and a rather loud voice, and he doesn't let me forget my purpose. Um, um, yeah, it's a natural thing, you know. I think it's just inbuilt in me, you know. My son, is my purpose, my why I do all this. You know, I'm so glad that I do, and I am confident that when he's, you know, grown up and no longer needs me to be fussing over him all the time, you know, that this will still be here and this will still be my business. But I definitely, you know, thank him being my purpose for me finding this initially. I'm going completely off on a tangent. How do I make sure? But yeah, there's nothing specific that I do really. I think it is just inbuilt, and it's just, you know, what I do naturally is just for his benefit, for the benefit of our family. And that gives me fulfillment.
Amazing. You know, I love a tangent, so don't worry about that, Laura. I have to work hard to keep myself on track most of the time.
Yeah, you can't keep me on track as well.
But it's lovely to hear you. It sounds like it's a really fluid, natural, organic flowing thing for you. Has it always been that way?
Yeah, I think it has really. You know, some people might find this strange. I've gone through a lot of hard times. But I do consider myself to be lucky in that I'm happy with what I do. You know, I'm fortunate with the relationships that I have around me, you know, family, friends, you know, wider acquaintances. So yeah, I think it has always been that way, and I don't know whether it's luck or, you know, something I'm unconsciously doing. I don't know, but yeah, it's all good. No complaints here.
It's all good. There we go. It's that calm reassurance that I get from you. It's like, it is all good. It is all good.
It's good.
And that's why I ask, has it always been that way? Because, you know, it almost feels really easy and joyful for you.
I think it's probably, you know, I have gone through some pretty crap times. So I think I get that in perspective now. And, you know, things that probably did bother me when I was younger, through that experience and wisdom, I know is not, going to be the end of the world. So I know that most things that happen can be fixed, and it's really not the end of the world. So, there's other things to worry about in the world. So let's just get things in perspective, and we'll fix it. If it needs fixed, we'll fix it.
There we go. Thank you, Laura. I always find your outlook and your consistency with your outlook. I know it's not sunshine and rainbows all the time, and it's peaks and troughs and highs and lows, but the one thing I always get from you is that kind of, and I think it is that confidence and that belief that it isn't the end of the world and it'll all be okay. And is that something that is that the main thing that keeps you going, keeps you moving forward in your business?
So it's certainly one of the things. And again, when I was younger, I definitely used to panic more and, worry about things. But yeah, I think I've being in the police, I saw a lot of, situations I probably wouldn't have wanted to seen. And, as I've said, things in my personal life. So I just know that things, could always be worse. So we just need to be thankful for what we have. And there's not a lot of things really that happen in a business life that can't be fixed. We'll get there.
We will get there. So what's the future looking like for you then? What's the big plans? What's the big plans, if you're comfortable sharing?
Well, as you know, I want to grow Alchemy in Scotland. I'm the only franchisee up here at the moment. So I would like to try and make Alchemy just a bigger brand, and grow the team. I know that the team are all happy. The girls that are working for me at the moment, they're all happy working here. So I've got no doubt that they'll want to expand their roles as well. So yeah, we'll see what that looks like. But I'm just really enjoying it at the moment. It's just great. The diversification that we have in the tasks that we do, and we're all learning new things. So it's great. And predominantly, what clients are coming to us with are things that we're really experienced in. So it's great, being able to help them and suggest things to them that they hadn't thought of. And as far as I'm aware, they're all really happy as well. So yeah, so that's the plan. Just keep on keeping on.
I love that. And I remember, if you're not aware, Alchemy, I am based in Northamptonshire, in the most landlocked part of the country. For an ocean lover, it makes no sense. But our strategy when we launched the franchise was to grow from where we were, geographically, kind of we were targeting to try and spread outwards from where we were, because it made sense. That's where our strengths and our connections and the brand was strongest. And then Laura comes along in Glasgow, and I was like, well, okay. And I still remember our first conversation. I think
I do too.
It was around lunchtime, wasn't it? And I remember that conversation, and I remember thinking then, how is this going to pan out? I mean, it's insane that my little business got such a remarkable person from Scotland, and fast forward, here we are. So what were some of the things that were really driving you to start your business back then?
Again, back to family, flexibility. I wanted to be able to take my son to school. I wanted to be able to pick him up. I wanted to be able to go to things that were on at the school, without that guilty feeling of, having to take time off work and then make it up. And I used to get really stressed driving to work in the morning, that I was going to be late. And I was thinking, there's absolutely more to life.
Mm.
So yeah, and as you know, I had thought about this previously. I looked into it and I thought it wasn't the right time, but actually I just hadn't found alchemy, that was all.
Uh-huh.
Um,
It,
so yeah, then I found you guys and that was it, and exactly what we talked about, purpose, values, everything just completely aligned.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, there was just no doubting it.
Oh, it's funny, isn't it? I think, alchemy, I started alchemy because I wanted to do the school run.
Hmm.
That was my big goal.
Now you don't want to do it, do you?
Now I don't want to do it. No. But it's funny, isn't it? Because
Joking.
everybody has challenging school mornings, right? Um, right? And I thought we've had a couple of tough ones this week, and I thought, genuinely thought, I was driving back, and I had this moment of, I'm I don't know how I would have managed, like emotionally and mentally, as well
Mm.
as practically, having
Yeah.
to get to an office or having
Mhm.
to get back to a rigid working pattern after the school run in the morning. Sometimes I'm absolutely exhausted. I feel like I've run a marathon, and I found myself expressing quite a lot of gratitude that I've got that flex and I can
Mhm.
do what I need to do so I
Yeah,
can be my best for everybody that I do serve. And yeah,
absolutely.
serious hats off to those parents that are, doing
Oh,
it all in that sense. Like
yeah.
I could function very well.
No, no, absolutely not. And yeah, I just felt exactly like that, and I think being here on my own as well, I definitely had that. I want to be there. I remember when I was at school and my mum didn't work. And so she was at school, for school sports days and, things. And it was always really nice just to see her there and I remember friends whose parents couldn't be there because they were working. And, I remember them being sad about that. And I just thought, no, I want to be there. I want him to have that, oh, there's my mum. And so yeah, so it all fits in really well.
Oh, Laura, you're a joy. You're a joy. And I am going to have to wrap this up because otherwise we're going to be sitting here nattering for hours and hours and hours and we'll lose everyone else. So I always like
I've
to,
got work to do.
and you've got work to do, so have I. And then, the school run.
Obviously the school run. Yeah, that's why we're here.
Um, so thank you, because you've been so open and honest and shared some of the inner workings of your world with us. So if there was a bit of advice or a bit of wisdom or a bit of experience that you'd like to share with someone who's perhaps not feeling as aligned in their lives right now, what would that be?
Hmm. So, I mean, my advice is always, and my motto is always, know your worth, isn't it? Um, and I still stick by that. And I have a bit of a disagreement. Not that he knows anything about this or knows I exist, but with Steven Bartlett, who always says, "Don't sweat this. No, do sweat the big thing, the small things."
Yeah.
Because I always say, "Don't sweat the small things." But we mean it in different ways. Like he's like, look after the details. He means it in that way, which I get and I agree with. But I mean, like, don't worry, just things can be fixed. And, we get together, talk to people, things can be worked out. And, if you talk to people, feel so much better, get it off your chest. And who knows, they might have a great idea. that's what helped me get into this, was somebody else's idea. So yeah, just don't worry, just don't stress.
Don't worry, don't sweat the small stuff, and know
Yeah.
your worth, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Well,
Exactly that.
that feels like a really good place to wrap this episode up. So Laura, thank you for your presence and your reassurance and your calmness and everything else. And I trust that you've taken what you need from this conversation. And thank you for sticking with us through another episode of the Alchemy of Alignment. I'm Suzy Sanders. I'm so privileged to be your host. And I would like to also express our gratitude to digital design experts D-Type, who are supporting us in keeping these messages and conversations flowing. So we'll catch up with you with a new episode soon. Take care.